It began with a knock at the cabin door, sharp and desperate, in the middle of a storm that clawed at the wooden walls like a wild beast. Samuel Carter, a weathered rancher who had spent years waiting for the arrival of his mail-order bride, froze with his hand on the latch, because the sound carried something more than urgency, it carried fear. When he pulled the door open, a woman stood drenched on the porch, eyes wide, her lips trembling as she whispered, "Samuel. I'm your kin." His heart slammed against his ribs. He had no kin, at least none he knew. The only family he remembered were graves long buried back east, yet here she was, her face pale, her voice steady but haunted. He pulled her inside, confusion burning in his chest. "Who are you?" he demanded, rifle still in reach. She shook water from her hair, her voice cracking. "My name is Evelyn. I'm your sister." The words cut through him like a knife. Sister? He had ordered a bride, not a stranger claiming blood ties. Before he could press her further, thunder cracked, and from the shadows outside came the sound of hooves retreating. Someone had brought her here, and left her. He bolted outside, rain drenching him as he scanned the darkness, but all he saw were fresh tracks vanishing into the night. When he returned inside, Evelyn sat near the fire, wringing her hands. "They didn't want me," she whispered. "So they sent me to you." His mind spun. Who were they? Why now? He asked her for proof, but she pulled from her soaked dress a tattered letter, the edges worn, the ink smudged, with his father's handwriting Samuel had not seen since boyhood. His father had written of a daughter born after Samuel had left home, a child hidden from him. The storm howled outside as Samuel read, his throat tight. Could this be true, or was it a trap? That night, he hardly slept, the letter burning in his mind, Evelyn's sobs echoing through the cabin. At dawn, he saddled his horse and rode into town to speak with Sheriff McAllister, a man who had seen lies tear families apart before. The sheriff squinted at the letter, his jaw tight. Could be real, he muttered. Could also be bait. Out here, men have killed for less than what you own. Samuel returned home uneasy, and when he arrived, he found Evelyn cooking breakfast as though she had lived there all her life. "I know how this looks," she said softly, "but I swear, I've only come for family." Yet her eyes darted to the locked chest Samuel kept beneath his bed, the one where he stored deeds, savings, and the letter from the land office confirming a vein of silver beneath his ranch. His gut twisted. Was she truly his sister, or had someone sent her for that secret? That night, while Samuel pretended to sleep, he heard the floorboards creak. He watched through slit eyes as Evelyn moved across the room, her hand trembling as she reached beneath his bed. Before she could touch the chest, he sat up, his pistol cocking. "Looking for something?" he asked coldly. Evelyn gasped, tears springing to her eyes. "I wasn't, I just," her words faltered, and in the silence that followed, a coyote howled in the distance, the sound like death itself. Samuel didn't sleep again that night. The next day, while repairing the corral, Samuel noticed riders watching from the ridge, 3 men, silent, their faces shadowed. When he raised his rifle, they turned and vanished. He confronted Evelyn, demanding answers, and she broke, sobbing that men from back east had followed her, men who wanted what Samuel owned. "They'll never stop," she cried. "They'll come for you, for me, for everything." Samuel's anger flared. "And you led them here." But as much as he wanted to cast her out, he saw the bruises on her arms, the fear etched deep in her face. She was hiding something darker. That night, the riders struck. Bullets shattered windows, wood splintered, and fire licked at the barn. Samuel fought back, his rifle spitting fire into the night, while Evelyn cowered in the corner. One outlaw fell, another fled, but the third lingered long enough to shout words that froze Samuel's blood, "She promised us half." Then he vanished into the dark. Samuel turned, rage burning in his chest. "What did you promise them?" Evelyn fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "I only wanted to survive," she cried. "I told them about the silver, about the ranch, but I never thought they'd hurt you." Betrayal slashed through Samuel like a blade. He nearly drove her from the cabin then and there, but something inside him, some fragile hope that her blood tied them, stayed his hand. He chained the chest shut, hid the key, and kept watch through the long night. In the days that followed, the tension grew unbearable. Evelyn tried to prove her loyalty by working the ranch, tending the animals, cooking meals. But Samuel couldn't shake the image of her bargaining his life away. Then came another twist. A letter arrived by stagecoach, addressed to Samuel, bearing the same handwriting as before. It spoke of Evelyn again, of debts and danger, but this time it included a detail only his father would know, the scar on Samuel's shoulder from falling off a barn roof as a boy. His chest tightened. Was she telling the truth after all? That evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Samuel found Evelyn crying by the corral. "I never wanted this," she whispered. "I just wanted family." For the first time, he believed her. But belief didn't erase danger. That night, a fire consumed the fields, set by unseen hands. As Samuel and Evelyn fought the flames, he realized someone wanted the ranch destroyed, silver or not. And as he collapsed in the ashes, coughing, Evelyn pulled him up with surprising strength, dragging him back to safety. He saw it then, the same fire in her eyes that burned in his. Yet before dawn, a shadow fell across the cabin door. Sheriff McAllister stood grim, his voice low. "Samuel, I found something. Evelyn, she's not the only one. There's another Carter out there, claiming blood. And he's coming." Samuel froze at the sheriff's words, the weight of them sinking like iron in his gut. Another Carter? After years believing himself the last of his line, now a sister appeared, followed by whispers of a brother. Evelyn's face went pale, her lips parting as though she already knew. "Who is he?" Samuel demanded, but the sheriff only shook his head. "All I know is he's coming west. Folks say he's dangerous, carries a grudge like a rattler carries venom." The next days passed under a cloud of unease. Samuel couldn't focus on the ranch, every sound seemed like a warning. Evelyn grew quieter, haunted, until finally, one night by the fire, she confessed the truth. "His name is Nathaniel," she whispered, her voice trembling. "He's my brother too, and yours. But he's not like us. He was raised in anger, told you abandoned us, told that you took what was his. He won't stop until he's taken it back." Samuel's blood ran cold. If this Nathaniel was truly his brother, then the storm was just beginning. Days later, the town was buzzing. Nathaniel Carter had arrived, tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar cutting across his cheek and eyes that burned with fury. He walked into the saloon, every head turning, and declared loud enough for all to hear, "I've come for what's mine." That night, Samuel sat alone at his ranch, rifle across his lap, waiting. But it wasn't Nathaniel who came first, it was Evelyn, trembling, tears streaking her face. "He found me," she whispered. "He said if I don't help him, he'll kill you." Samuel's jaw tightened. "Then he'll have to kill us both." But before he could speak more, the window shattered, a bullet whizzing past his ear. Nathaniel's voice rang out from the darkness, "Come out, brother. Face me like a man." Samuel stepped outside into the moonlight, rifle steady. Nathaniel stood across the yard, his gun drawn, his expression a twisted mirror of Samuel's own. "You left us," Nathaniel growled. "You took the land, the name, the life that should have been mine." Samuel's voice was steady, though his heart thundered. "I didn't know. I was just a boy when I left. I never took anything from you." But Nathaniel's rage was a wildfire. He fired, the bullet grazing Samuel's arm, and the battle began. They fought across the ranch, gunfire cracking, shadows leaping in the firelight. Evelyn screamed, torn between brothers, her cries drowned by the roar of violence. At last, Samuel cornered Nathaniel near the corral, both men breathing hard, guns raised. And then, in the silence between heartbeats, Evelyn stepped between them. "Stop," she cried, her body shaking. "We are blood, all of us. If you kill each other, then what's left?" For a moment, Nathaniel's eyes softened, the gun wavering. But then he snarled, shoving her aside. "Blood means nothing. Only power does." He pulled the trigger, yet no shot came. His revolver clicked empty. Samuel raised his rifle, finger on the trigger, every instinct screaming to end it. But he hesitated, his mind filled with the memory of his father's words in that old letter: family, no matter how broken, was still family. He lowered his rifle. "I won't kill you," he said. "Even if you'd kill me." Nathaniel stared, disbelief flickering in his eyes, before rage consumed him once more. He lunged forward, knife flashing in the moonlight. They grappled, the blade slicing Samuel's side, pain exploding through him. But in that instant, Evelyn seized a rock and struck Nathaniel across the skull. He fell, motionless, the knife clattering to the dirt. The silence afterward was deafening, broken only by Samuel's ragged breaths. "He's still alive," Evelyn whispered, her hands trembling. Samuel pressed his wound, staring down at the man who was both stranger and brother. "Tie him," Samuel ordered, though his voice was heavy with sorrow. At dawn, Nathaniel awoke bound in the barn, his eyes burning with hatred. Samuel stood over him, pale from blood loss but unyielding. "You can't win this," Samuel said quietly. "You can kill me, but it won't give you peace. You'll still be empty." Nathaniel spat at his feet. "Peace is a lie. I want what's mine." Before Samuel could reply, the riders returned, the same outlaws who had attacked before. They stormed the ranch, guns blazing, and Samuel realized the terrible truth: Nathaniel had led them here, promising them riches for his freedom. Chaos erupted. Bullets flew, wood splintered, horses screamed. Samuel fought with everything he had left, Evelyn at his side, her hands steady on a pistol now. In the middle of the fight, Nathaniel broke free, seizing a gun, but instead of aiming at Samuel, he turned on the outlaws, fury blazing in his eyes. He gunned down two men before they could react, his rage no longer at his brother but at those who sought to use him. When the dust settled, bodies lay scattered, smoke curled into the sky, and Nathaniel stood wounded, swaying. His gun slipped from his hand, his voice raw. "Maybe I was wrong," he muttered. Samuel caught him as he collapsed, the weight of years of hatred suddenly heavy between them. They carried him inside, laid him by the fire. For the first time, Nathaniel's eyes softened, the fury dimming. "I thought you abandoned us," he whispered. "All my life, that's what I believed." Samuel's throat tightened. "I didn't know. But we can start again, if you'll let us." Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes as she knelt beside them. For a moment, it seemed possible, that 3 broken lives could be mended, that family could be salvaged from ashes. But fate was cruel. Nathaniel's wounds were too deep, his body too broken. As dawn painted the sky gold, he breathed his last, his final words a whisper: "Don't waste what I lost." Silence fell, heavier than the storm that had brought Evelyn to Samuel's door. They buried Nathaniel on the hill overlooking the ranch, the wind carrying the scent of sage and dust. Samuel stood with Evelyn, the weight of both grief and strange new hope pressing on him. They were the last Carters now, bound not by choice but by blood, by loss, by survival. "What now?" Evelyn asked softly, her eyes searching his. Samuel looked out across the land, scarred but still standing, the silver hidden deep below, the horizon stretching endless. "Now," he said quietly, "we live. For him. For us. For what's left." As they walked back to the cabin, the wind whispered through the grass like voices of the past, and Samuel knew the Old West would never stop testing them. But he also knew this: family, no matter how broken, was worth fighting for. And somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled again, a reminder that peace on the frontier was always temporary, and that the next storm was already on its way.